While the Ravens have soared high since that team could not have gotten off to a better start.
You'll be on this journey with me.
Hey guys, now joined inside Nats Park.
So NBC football analyst Chris Sims recently commented on the Ravens offseason thus far, and there was one part in particular that really caught my attention for obvious reasons. It kind of actually just stuck out like a sore thumb. So wanted to share that and more with you coming up in this episode, which is presented by me and my Bobby Baltimore Discord server, which is a 24/7 hub for conversation surrounding Baltimore sports. Shout out a couple of my newest members at Moose Knuckler, at Otto, at Ross Pancake, at TJ, at Mitchman62, at Not Jesus. Oh, this is a good one. At Moist Almond. Anyway, it's a good opportunity to hang out with, virtually, of course, fellow Baltimore sports fans. It's broken up into different categories: general, football, baseball, you name it. Baltimore sports, constant chatter in there, and it is free to join. You can visit the show notes below if you'd like to get involved. And with that, welcome into the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. And let's begin with beyond. Unfortunately for Kansas City, this situation continues to get uglier and uglier for soon-to-be second-year player, which I don't even know if his future in the NFL is a thing based on the offseason that Rashee Rice has been, I don't want to say going through it because it's a result of his decision-making, but rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice, who literally gets to the NFL and in his first season wins a Super Bowl, gets to the top of his profession almost immediately, is now under investigation for allegedly hitting a photographer at a nightclub on Monday. Okay, this is on top of, remember the multi-vehicle crash that he helped cause back in March? He's currently facing 8 charges in connection to his involvement with that. That's like, I don't know how he plays another down for the Kansas City Chiefs. And perhaps if this next allegation is true, does he play another down in the NFL? I mean, you had one job, and that was to, while facing 8 charges, and he's damn lucky that nobody was seriously hurt or killed in those crashes. But you had one job following that. Sit down, hide away, just hibernate so that you can give yourself a fighting chance to play some of next season. We know he's going to be suspended. Now I'd be shocked if he plays another down in the NFL in 2024. From there and on beyond, he's 24 years old. Perhaps the NFL gives him another chance. But for 2024, I just do not see Rashee Rice being involved in the NFL's plans, nor should he be. This is unfortunate. This is a sad situation that's unfolding for the Kansas City Chiefs. A star, somebody who emerged as Patrick Mahomes' top-tier number 1 wide receiver this past season, and now he's really flirting with throwing it all away. It's a sad, sad situation. That's the latest there. Sticking with wide receivers in brighter news, maybe not if you're a Tyler Boyd fan like my co-host Sarah Ellison surely is, at least for the Ravens fit. That's the angle she's been taking in recent weeks. And we're both of the belief that Baltimore still could use that veteran, cheap, team-friendly type of wide receiver that's still available on the free agent open market to kind of round out the Ravens wide receiver room. I know I'm of that belief. She is as well. Some of you are too. Tyler Boyd, you can cross that name off the list of guys who are still available that would fit that category. He's signing with Tennessee. It's a 1-year deal worth up to $4.5 million. And now he reunites with his former OC in Cincinnati, who's now the next head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and Brian Callahan. And all of a sudden, you've got some names in that wide receiver room. You've got Calvin Ridley, you've got DeAndre Hopkins, And now you've got Brian Callahan with Traylon Burks, I believe. So notice how I say names. I don't know where each one of those guys are at specifically at this point in their careers. It's a lot older than, say, the Ravens wide receiver room. What will be more productive? We'll have to see. I sure as hell know that Will Levis entering his second season in the NFL is going to have a whole lot more talent at his disposal than Lamar Jackson did in year 2. And there's no debate surrounding that whatsoever. Let's take a quick look at who's still available in terms of, again, veteran free agent wide receivers that are on the open market. Do a little screen share here. We'll go big screen for you so you can see. Let's go like this. Okay. Hunter Renfrow atop the list. Again, this is in terms of average annual value from a year ago. Allen Robinson. You can take Boyd off it. Michael Thomas, who I know Marlon Humphrey and Jacoby Jones are fans of. Russell Gage. Marquez Valdez-Scantling from Kansas City. Zay Jones, who's who's rumored to be visiting the Arizona Cardinals this week. Jamal Agnew, Mecole Hardman, Jakeem Grant, Randall Cobb, Marquise Goodwin, DeAndre Carter, Sterling Shepard. I mean, you can go on and on. The list goes for a while. Who sticks out to you guys? Anybody? Man, if Michael Thomas didn't have durability concerns at this point in his career, it feels like he'd be a shoo-in. Might be a little bit more expensive than some of the lower end guys, but let me know who you think would be a viable option for the Ravens right now on the back end of free agency. Let's get to what Chris Sims had to say. NBC Sports and football analyst was talking about just the Ravens offseason as a whole to date on NBC recently.
Got some of those same things.
Yeah.
They lost a ton of players. That O-line, what's that going to look like, right? There's no Patrick Queen. Marlon Humphrey's a year older, right? Chuck Clark gone. See you later, right? So that's another one where I go, hey, those are like two of the teams we look at to challenge the Chiefs, and I got to kind of see them at first to really buy in.
Because they brought in Derrick Henry.
Right.
I like Nate Wiggins coming out of the draft.
Of course.
So, again, you're like,
I like it, but we got to see
exactly.
it. We got to see it a little bit.
Did you guys catch it? Just in case you
that
didn't.
O-line, what's that going to look like, right? There's no Patrick Queen. Marlon Humphrey's a year older, right? Chuck Clark gone. See you later. Right? They lost a ton of players.
Chuck Clark. Look, Sarah and I talk about it all the time. When you are a national analyst tasked with covering 32 teams, you can slip. That's the tough one to slip on right there. Chuck Clark was a year ago, and they traded him to the New York Jets in exchange for a 7th. Chuck was not a part of the Ravens' plans in 2023. Right? They played the 2023 season without Chuck and flourished in the back end. And that's no knock against Chuck whatsoever. It was an embarrassment of riches back there, and Kyle Hamilton opened up all kinds of different opportunities for Mike McDonald as the defensive coordinator to use him as a chess piece. Okay. So again, not to drag Chris, but that offseason polish, it's almost like a nice little reminder. In the offseason, you got to work 10 times as hard from a polish standpoint, because we go, and we get consumed by so much throughout the 6 months of the season that in the offseason, it is sometimes like, all right, got to wake up a little bit. Let's go. Training camp's right around the corner. It's just not that same sense of urgency that comes with being in season. But let's just talk about what the Ravens have actually lost. Okay. And it's a lot. It's kind of a long list on the right-hand side there in terms of departures. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins both end up in L.A. Morgan Moses is traded to New York. John Simpson leaves for New York in free agency. Kevin Zeitler leaves in free agency. Odell Beckham Jr. leaves in free agency. Patrick Queen, the same, staying in division, as did Geno Stone. And Jadeveon Clowney just got a boatload of money to return home, or close to home, in terms of where he's from, in Carolina. additions, obviously most notably Derrick Henry, free agency acquisitions, and then via the draft, Nate Wiggins and Roger Rosengarten are sort of your headline additions for Baltimore. What's the biggest deal here? To be honest with you, I think the biggest loss, to me, the biggest loss is Kevin Zeitler, strictly because of the unknown, right? There is a thought among many that Ben Cleveland and Andrew Voorhees are going to be your starting guards. Okay. While I feel comfortable with that based on the options that they have, putting all of your eggs in one basket for a guy who has underperformed since he got here several years ago in Ben, hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities, a lot of which has been due to performance or strictly just losing out jobs in the summer, or maybe even going back several summers now to the failed conditioning test. That's that. Like, that's the reality of it. You add on top of that, Andrew Voorhees, sure, like before he tore his ACL, he was looked at as a potential day 1 or day 2 pick. And you hope that he will blossom into that. But that's no guarantee. And what you knew and what was a guarantee when it comes to Kevin Zeitler at right guard was that he was absolutely going to be a stabilizing force for you. And he was for 3 years in Baltimore. And for the first time since Marshall Yanda's retirement, he provided that kind of stability and consistency on the right-hand side of the offensive line. To me, as I look up and down this list, I'm not necessarily concerned about the loss and the production that walks out the door with Jadeveon Clowney, right? Because they literally, this time last year, he wasn't even in their plans. They bring him in during training camp. He ends up having a career year. Who's to say that an Odafe Owe can't flourish like Jadeveon did? And it's under the second-year tutelage of Chuck Smith, their outside linebackers coach, a.k.a. Dr. Rush. Who's to say that Kyle Van Noy can't continue to sip from the fountain of youth? Perhaps David Ajabo can contribute, right? Will Adisa Isaac burst onto the scene as a productive rookie, right? There's options there. So I'm not as concerned. With Geno was unbelievable, especially through the first half of the season as a playmaker and a ball hawk. But there's a ton of different options in the back end between Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton. They went and drafted Sanusi Kane. You know, Ardarius Washington's going to be there for depth purposes. You hope that he can stay healthy. Who am I forgetting? Definitely forgetting others. Obviously, Brandon Stevens can be used in different ways. Patrick Queen, look, I feel there's no question that they'd be better week 1 with Patrick playing alongside Roquan. But I think Trenton Simpson at some point next year is going to be plug and play. And playing alongside Rowe is a benefit to everybody. OBJ, not much of a loss. His presence obviously commanded some sort of attention, but the production is not that much of a loss and can be easily replaced, I would think, by Devontae. Kevin Zeitler, like I mentioned, John Simpson, Morgan Moses, their losses, they'll have to be taken into account for, but I don't find them to be egregious. And then Dobbins and Edwards, when you revamp your running back room that consists of, Derrick Henry, really productive back, Rasheen Ali out of Marshall. You hope that Keaton Mitchell is your home run hitter at some point, will be healthy in the first half of the season. And then the ever reliable and sort of unsung hero in Justice Hill. To me, losing those guys, it's sad from a fandom standpoint, but to me, it's not something that, you lose sleep over. So that's sort of my thoughts on the offseason as a whole so far. And I say so far because, again, I continue to hope that the Ravens aren't done yet and potentially are looking at one of those veteran free agent wide receivers who can round out their group. So let me know who you think that might be in the comments section below, and would love to hear your thoughts. Kevin Eberly and Lito Thompson. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Did I just totally botch it? Lito? I don't know. Sorry, Lito. I'll go with that. But thank you both for believing in what I'm building here in Baltimore and supporting me through Patreon this month. This is your monthly shout out, and I appreciate you guys for all the support. So with that, you can do the same by visiting patreon.com/Bobby Trosset. That link is in the show notes below. You can connect with me on Instagram if you don't already at Bobby Baltimore. Same handle on Twitter as well. And again, would love for you to join the Bobby Baltimore Discord server, which is a 24/7 hub for conversations surrounding Baltimore sports. That link is in the show notes and it is free to join.